300 African Americans murdered, possibly more. Thousands injured. More than 10,000 left homeless. 40 city blocks burned to the ground.
What's the crack? What's the story, people? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're checking out something very interesting. I've been intrigued about this topic for so long. This is Uncover the Hidden Secrets of Black Wall Street in 1921, Tulsa. I think Tulsa is in Oklahoma. I've always heard people talking about Black Wall Street. And I don't know where it is, so I want to find out where it is. And this is beautiful. I'm learning about black culture. Thanks for your support. Let's go.
Greenwood, Oklahoma, 1921. The north side of Tulsa was a prosperous community, exclusively black, because Jim Crow laws prohibited Negroes from living in white neighborhoods.
Actually, wait, what is Jim Crow? So Jim Crow, does that mean that is that a law so that black people are not allowed to go places? Again, I don't live in the United States. Sorry, I don't know. I'm trying to learn. But it was Jim Crow mean, you know, if you're black if you're not white, you're not allowed to go to some certain places. Is that what Jim Crow means? I've heard that name a few times, but yeah.
Where it was said more than 3,000 Ku Klux Klan members resided in the area. Where it was said Crow laws prohibited Negroes from living in white neighborhoods. Where it was said more than 3,000 Ku Klux Klan members resided in the area. At that time, there were countless all-black communities, like Greenwood, scattered throughout the U.S. 60 in Oklahoma Territory alone. Greenwood, however, was the jewel of Negro America. Though white Tulsans called it Little Africa, Booker T. Washington gave it the name we know it as today, Black Wall Street. And it was the wealthiest black community in America, where black men and women came to pursue the American dream. It boasted black-owned banks, pharmacies, grocery stores, movie theaters, restaurants, churches, newspaper publishing, law offices, a bus company, its own school district, where the average student wore a uniform with a suit and tie, a business college, a hospital with an entire black staff, and an internationally acclaimed surgeon. Black millionaires, which Greenwood was known to.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm so surprised. I'm shocked. This was back in 1921. 1920. How come I never really hear about this? It's not that popular over here. I'm not sure. Let me know. Do they teach this in the schools in the United States? Do you guys learn about this in the United States? Let me know. Is it popular over there?
To have had more millionaires residing there than the entire United States combined. And of the only 2 airports in the state of Oklahoma, one of them was for the half-dozen private airplanes owned by its black oil tycoons. To top it off, the minimum wage and living standard of a resident of Black Wall Street far exceeded that of the average white citizen of Tulsa. But on May 30th, 1921, all that changed. Dick Rowland, a shoeshine boy, entered the elevator in the Drexel building to use one of the only few colored bathrooms in downtown Tulsa. On the top floor, Sarah Page, a 17-year-old, a white elevator operator, began operating the elevator when it lurched, causing Rowland to stumble. He bumped into Sarah, and she screamed. Rowland, knowing what Frederick Douglass had penned as the truth with regards to the treatment of black men in America, to be accused was to be convicted, and to be convicted was to be punished. In this case, punishment, when it came to the accusations of a white woman,
Nab Negro for attacking girl. Bro, imagine what a kid would have felt back then. That's scary. A Negro delivery boy who gave his name to the police as Diamond Dick, who has been a Negro. Fucking hell.
Meant death, and knowing her scream was a likely death sentence. Young Rowland ran away. He was later seized and apprehended with the intent of being lynched. Word of a black man raping a defenseless white girl spread throughout the Tulsa area. Dozens and then hundreds, until a mob of over 2,000 white men gathered at the county courthouse demanding justice. But justice for what? Sarah Page wasn't assaulted. Her clothes weren't ruffled. And though her story wavered during questioning, she ultimately affirmed she was not harmed. Moreover, she refused to sign a statement saying that she had been raped. But don't let the facts get in the way of a false accusation of a black man who needed to be put in his place at the end of a rope. The Tulsa Tribune reported,
"A Negro assaults a white girl.
And later,
To lynch Negro tonight."
with no basis in fact for the allegations of rape, the mob persisted in their demand for justice of a white girl who emphatically stated that no injustice had been done. Walter White of the New York Evening Post wrote,
Chief of Police John A. Gustafson, Sheriff McCullough, Mayor T.D. Evans, and a number of reputable citizens, among them prominent oil operator, all declared the girl had not been molested, that no attempt at criminal assault had been made. Victor F. Barnett, managing editor of the Tribune, stated that his paper had since learned that the original story that the girl's face was scratched and her clothes torn was untrue.
and there you have it, fake news. But the damage had already been done, and the wheels were set in motion. Armed black World War I veterans were among the less than 100 members of the Greenwood community.
I feel like people were just looking for any excuse. I feel like sometimes it's also whenever I see people protesting, they're waiting for something to happen. Like they look for any excuse to do their ill intent. Like we as human beings, yeah, we all have our beliefs and all that. We're just waiting for something to happen. So there we go. Think of it. There's so many celebrities that you might not like, and you're waiting. You see, it's happened every time. Happen every single time. What's his name? What's that guy? Shannon Sharp. When the whole thing happened, when they had to pay the girl off. Do you know how many people were like, "Oh yeah, why was he with the girl in the first place?" People were waiting for his downfall. Wow. I just imagine. So are you telling me because of what happened in the elevator, that's what ruined Black Wall Street? Because it sounded like amazing stuff was going on. That would, think of it. Think of the generational wealth that would have happened. Oh my. This was back in the 1920s. And people were millionaires already. Because that's what, if you think of it today, most generational wealth only happened let's say less than 100 years ago. Like if you think of the people that own, let's say, is it the HEB? I learned about the HEB, the Texas HEB. The guy that started it. I think it started back in the, was it like in early 1920, early 1900s, I think. Similar stuff. A lot of brands were started. I think HEB, what's that drink? Arizona. I think that was in the 60s, 50s, 60s. There's so many products that were started like in the early 1900s, and their great grandkids are still ripping off the profit because of what they did like 100 years ago. So just imagine if that kept going on. Billionaires. Wow.
Who came to prevent and were among the less than 100 members of the Greenwood community who came to prevent another lynching of a black man, as thousands had been lynched since the generation of Reconstruction. A verbal confrontation led to a shot being fired, triggering what would soon become the most bloody racial conflict in American history. Some 500 members of the white mob were armed and deputized by city officials, and those who didn't own weapons looted stores to obtain guns and ammunition along the way. Thousands of angry white men descended upon Little Africa, as a few white families provided sanctuary to those fleeing from violence. Over the course of 24 hours, the mob looted, murdered, and razed the wealthiest black city in America to the ground. Eyewitness testimony stated a dozen or more planes circled the black area, dropping burning turpentine balls over the city of Greenwood and firing bullets at black residents young and old, gunning them down in the streets. It was the first and only time Americans used planes to attack and kill its own citizens, as it destroyed an entire city. Authorities engaged in a concerted effort to prevent help from arriving until considerable damage was done, by cutting off communication requesting help, blocking transportation ways of firefighters and ambulances, and even preventing the Red Cross from coming in earlier to help the injured and terrorized community.
As they passed the city's most traveled street, they held both hands high above their heads, their hats in one hand as a token of their submission to the white man's authority. They will not return to the homes they had on Tuesday afternoon, only the heaps of ashes, the angry white man's reprisal for the wrong.
See, I feel like each time I react to stuff like this, it makes me understand why there's so much anger within the black community. Not all the black community, but like, I understand why, because I would never understand. I understand and I would never understand why maybe someone in the comments is like, oh, Eddie, you don't understand what we're going through. Because sometimes, like, I'm always like, love each other, don't treat people wrong because of the race. I remember someone left a comment saying, oh, Eddie, because I said most of my friends are, Asians, white, because I grew up in that community. That's what I'm used to. And someone said in the comment saying, oh, Eddie, they can turn on you anytime. I'm like, well, I hope not. I grew up with these people. They show me love. I don't really treat people by their color. if you're nice to me, I treat you exact same. That's what I'm used to. I can only imagine what someone that lives in the United States of America, that lives in, let's say, in Tulsa, and their grandparents is telling them this story. The hatred that's gonna be fueling, it's gonna be boiling. It's gonna be building up inside you, because you learned that your great grandparents had this thing going on, and it was destroyed overnight because a guy was wrongfully accused of assaulting a girl in the elevator. Now, I do understand. I understand. That's why I always say there's always two parts to a story. So whenever I see someone, angry in the comments, I understand. I might not agree with you, but I get where you're coming from. Sometimes if you haven't been through something, like me, I can't think of any time I've been through any racist encounter. Maybe it's just because sometimes people say I'm very. Most of my friends always say I'm the kind of person that if someone slaps me in the face, I can still be friends with them like next day, because I just don't take things too serious. Cause I feel like life is so short, and I want to experience life. I want to enjoy life. So I tend not to make people's actions dictate how I live my life. So if you come to me now, you're like, oh, you black this, you black that. Okay, that's your beliefs. I'm not gonna let your words get to me. I've got plans. I always say to you guys, one of my biggest dreams is building my mom a house, buy my mom a car. So I'll never let someone else's, and also raise my family, be nice to my girlfriend, raise my kids so that they can be comfortable. So I would never let anyone, just because you step on my shoe, I'm not gonna, mate, I keep saying it, the way I have plans. So, but I do get why you might be angry, because you've been through stuff. Your parents have been through stuff, so you got that anger in you. And all I can say is that I don't know what to say, because this is sad. You're seeing this happening. This is sad. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know what you guys think down below.
Inflicted on them by the inferior race. Tulsa Tribune.
Following the massacre, insurance companies refused to compensate the residents, though the city and its officials were found negligent in preventing it. Decades of silence about the terror, violence, and theft passed. There were no convictions for any of the charges related to the murders or violence. Not one white person was ever held responsible for these crimes, though dozens of black men were indicted for inciting a riot. Government and city officials not only failed to invest and rebuild the once thriving Greenwood community, but blocked efforts to do so, and even actively sought to appropriate their land. The crime wasn't acknowledged by the city or the state of Oklahoma for over 70 years, rarely mentioning it in history books, classrooms, or even in private. Most residents grew into middle age, completely unaware of what had taken place. Even a report detailing the history of Tulsa's fire department from 1897 to 2017 made no mention of the massacre. And on that Memorial Day weekend, June 1st, 1921, Greenwood, Oklahoma, was brought to an abrupt end. Black Wall Street was wiped off the map. 300 African Americans murdered, possibly more. Thousands injured. More than 10,000 left homeless. 40 city blocks burned to the ground. And the few homes left were completely looted. The Tulsa Real Estate Exchange estimated property losses amounting to the equivalent of more than $32 million in today's money. Unbeknownst to most, Tulsa's Black Wall Street wasn't the only black town to be ethnically cleansed in America. It wasn't the only city forgotten, nor was it the only black town where no one was ever arrested, prosecuted, or where victims were never compensated. Time has passed, memories have faded, and survivors have died, taking the knowledge of not only how the cities were destroyed, but arguably even more tragic, the knowledge of how these countless all-black towns were built. Can a biblical blueprint be extrapolated from what we found? That is indeed our challenge, to cooperate, coordinate, and collaborate in order to turn our desolate neighborhoods into thriving communities and build them up by utilizing the keys to economic and societal development. Let us rediscover, let us reunite, and let us rebuild a new Black Wall Street.
I really enjoyed that. I wasn't expecting that at all. To find out that these guys had millions, they were making so much money.
And collaborate.
Like the hospitals, the schools, the private schools, and then that's just wiped out. Just imagine, you live in a comfortable life, you're going tennis in the afternoon, you're playing badminton, and the next thing, you're homeless. And over 300 people were killed. Over 300 people in a community. Do you know how many people that is? It's not like 300 people in a state, like 300 people in a town. Wow. And it's so sad that I feel like things like this, you should always talk about it so it doesn't happen again. Do you know what I mean? Talking about it doesn't mean, spread hatred. No. You talk about it so that the kids know that, look, this stuff happened in the past and it's not happening again. We're not letting it happen again. We have to learn from it. We talk about World War I, World War II, the Korean War, so many wars that's happened in the past. We gotta talk about this as well. This was a civil war within the United States. They said something about it was the first time weapons were dropped from a plane. Was it bombs or I can't remember what was dropped in United States by United States citizens. You're killing your own people. But yep, let me know if there's any more stories like this. It's good to learn about all this kind of stuff. Let's come together, please, please, please. Let's not let the past separate us. Let's come together and be one. This should be something that should motivate you and tell you, look, back in the 1920s, if they can do it, we can do it as well. We can build this back up. It can be done in 2025. We've got the resources. There's nothing stopping you now. There's no excuses. Go out there, go work hard. It can be done. Go make yourself proud. Go make your family proud. Make sure you like, you guys want to see more stuff. Comment down below you want to see. Subscribe. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.